We're reconvening to open session. It is approximately 6:30. Moving on to F, announcements of actions taken in closed session. Ms. Ambris.
Yes, good evening. The board took action on student discipline case number 161701, and on a motion of trustee Lorenzo Calderon Jr. and a second of trustee Priscilla Real, and a vote 4-0 with all trustees voting in favor to accept the recommendation of the student discipline.
Thank you. Moving on to G, presentations. G1, Jim Abadi recognition.
So if Mr. Abadi could come forward, please. We just wanted to publicly thank Mr. Abadi and his business, which is Majak Farms, I believe, for all of the dedication, effort, and contributions he's made to Calexico Unified School District and our facilities. In particular, all of the beautiful work that was done at our softball field at Emerson, and all of the most recent work that was done at Calexico High School's football field. And hopefully tomorrow night our players and opposing team will be able to play a great game with a win in favor of our Bulldogs. Can you guarantee that as well tomorrow? But the biggest victory is for our students when we see the beautiful field that he and his sons put in motion for our community this past summer. As soon as his boys came home from college, he had them out there working on laser leveling our field, and helped our M&O department lay out the sod, and he keeps coming back and checking up on the progress. He even helped us with I believe it was the fertilizing of the field recently. So thank you, Mr. Abadi, and thank you for being a friend and family to Calexico Unified.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to H, comments from the public. The board will now take any and all comments from the public related to item on the agenda or any other item of district business that is not on the agenda. We have one request for oral communication from Ms. Sonia Rendona. Very well, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. All items appearing will be acted upon by one motion without discussion unless selected for separate consideration. What are the wishes of the board?
I would like for the I-4 to be pulled.
Okay.
Just if we can get a little bit more background on I-4.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Okay. Motion to approve I-2
And I-3
to I-3, pulling 4. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Calderon Jr. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. We're now at I-4. Ms. Trustee Aguilar.
It doesn't indicate the number of people attending. Can we have a little bit more background
It was
on that?
12.
I think it
Or
says
did I miss that?
12. I hope it says 12. I believe that's how I submitted it. 12 certificated members. Most of them, I didn't want to list the names because it's so far ahead, and some of them said I need to check some commitments once it is official. But what we're looking at is we have 10 department chairs at Calexico High School. And we want to ideally take all of our department chairs and leaders. We're in a WASC year, learning about PLCs and establishing and refining our PLCs as part of our WASC recommendation. We started with your support that last year when we brought a PLC presenter, and that was very successful. However, not all of them were able to be there those 2 Saturdays. And it's just ongoing professional development and continue to refine our PLCs. We have 10 new, most of them new leaders in that position as a department chair, and it's a great opportunity. It's a great conference, and so there's 12 certificated members. I'd like to take an assistant principal. None of my assistant principals have attended a PLC conference either, and I'd like to attend as well. And so it's 14 members in total.
Okay. That's all I have. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve I-4 by Trustee Aguilar. Is there a second?
Second.
You said 4? It was 2, wasn't it?
2 administrators and 12 teachers.
Okay. All right. That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to information items. J1, Superintendent's Report.
My report is very brief. Last Friday, our boys played their varsity football game at Francis Parker High School in San Diego, and somewhere in the middle of the second quarter, someone from Francis Parker became gravely ill. There was, I believe, a staff member who went into cardiac arrest, and so he was given life-saving measures at the field, transported to a hospital. I have been able to speak with staff from Francis Parker this week, and when you talk about small schools, any event can be extremely significant, especially when at small schools people wear so many different hats. And this gentleman was a teacher slash assistant principal slash support scorekeeper for the football team. I mean, he wore a lot of hats, and so very much beloved teacher and administrator at Francis Parker, and still is. I did speak with the athletic director a couple of days ago, and he shared with me that he is undergoing some surgery, and he's doing much better, but that it's going to be obviously a long road for him. And so I extended to him Calexico's wishes for much and great improved health for him and healing for their community. But one of the things that Mr. Hunt, their athletic director, shared with me, and he shared with some of our staff members out there, that very, very grateful, appreciative, and just in awe of the response of our students at the Francis Parker game. Apparently, our students that were there, our football players, our cheerleaders, and even people who were in the stands gathered around the team in the football field, and our kids mingled with their kids, embraced them, and actually did a prayer circle with them. So I just wanted to reinforce to our board the wonderful community kids, students, I don't want to call them kids, the students that we have in our community, and how well they represent us with such, I'm just extremely proud and touched by how they reached out to Francis Parker, and how well Francis Parker can speak of our kids. So that's about all I'm going to tell you tonight.
Thank you. Moving on to J2, association comments. Is there anybody from ACT? Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Superintendent, Board members. I'm Veronica Torres, third grade teacher at Cesar Chavez, but also Vice President for elementary level. And I would like to begin by saying it's a pleasure to come before you tonight and personally myself welcome everybody back to this new school year. That will be filled with many successes as well as challenges as we continue to strive to provide the best education to our students as possible. Therefore, on this note, I would like to congratulate our district on the adoption of a new reading program that will hopefully help us meet the learning needs of our students. Teachers in the primary level, they had a chance to have their first development training in such program, but it did prove a bit lacking in providing the teachers with a thorough understanding of how to implement different components of the program. I could probably stand here for 30 minutes or so and go over each aspect, but just it's sufficient to say that we felt that it was inadequate. Teachers at the elementary level have been working hard trying to understand and implement this program at the pace that it requires us to teach it. Teachers were not able to get their bearings on from the beginning since we received this program about a day prior to the training and about 2 days prior to the beginning of the school year. This is obviously not a good way to begin the year, but even so, we have struggled a bit to implement the program without adequate guidance. So I would like to say, that I hope that in some way that the district can provide us with some more guidance through either staff development or some type of training in the new program. And since I did not see any agenda items on that tonight, I would urge you if you could just, consider that, to train our teachers adequately. We are already 5 weeks into school, and the only staff development we've received has been the one that I told you about. It was more of an infomercial, as if we were going to buy the program. It really didn't, teach us much about the program. We didn't get to see a lesson through a week span of what it would look like in action. And considering the fact that we live in an age of technology, it would be nice to have seen some videos of teachers, implementing these lessons. But moving on, just this week, and let me remind you that we have already been in session 5 weeks. Teachers who have had no materials whatsoever have just begun to start to receive textbooks, manuals, etc. And they have been without this since the beginning of the year. This is a great disservice to our teachers and students. And, I recall that, we want to provide equity to all our students, so we need to think of that, when trying to find a way for teachers to get, their materials and for students to have access to textbooks. Now, the learning that has been lost because of this, and it's going to be very difficult to regain it for those teachers who did not have a program or textbooks for their students. On another note, we are also, again, like I said, 5 years into the school year, and we did have some struggles with internet access to the new programs. So I'm hoping that we may continue to refine the process of having every student in the district, have online access, but making sure that, parents have, those forms ready, signed in and turned in, and that we have enough personnel to input that information in a timely manner. And, I must finish with one more thing. I found out that teachers are being pulled out to create, pacing guides for the Go Math. And I know that the Go Math benchmark, there have been some benchmark tests created by the curriculum department, if I'm correct, but it hasn't been created with teacher input. So from my knowledge, teachers are being asked to create a pacer that has them teaching lessons that students will be tested on, a test that teachers have had no input in, a test that requires them to test on lessons that they have realized they might not get to, and have not been realistically set because they had no say in it. So when people are unfamiliar with the content and how much time has to be dedicated to teaching certain lessons, and if they are the ones steering the wheel, in this case, someone else is creating tests and not the teachers, the direction of when the learning will take place, that in itself will become a catastrophic, situation for kids and teachers. If any curriculum development will be done, whether it be in the creating of lessons or benchmark tests, we must have teacher input all steps of the way. This is the only way to ensure that we are steering in the right direction. The expert, the teacher, should be behind the wheel making these decisions. So I urge the district to consider providing staff development, like I said, quickly as possible to teachers in the new reading program, and for other schools as well who have adopted new programs. And, one quick way to do that is survey the teachers and ask them what their needs are. I urge that teacher input also be considered when creating benchmark tests that teachers will have to implement in their classroom. So in a final note, let's set up our kids this year not for failure but success. As we celebrate Higher Education Week, we can only make kids achieve dreams if we give teachers and students the tools in an adequate and appropriate manner. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. President, before we go on,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to recommend that we expedite the books and materials that these teachers need so they can start teaching our kids. How long have we been in? Our school has started
5 weeks ago.
5 weeks.
That's what I was going to ask. I thought we ordered the books that were going to be, I don't know who could address us with that when we ordered the books, the textbooks.
The books, I believe, Ms. Colunga can give you a more accurate description, but we did receive the last batch today, as a matter of fact.
Today, a lot of teachers received some things, but still.
So when you're saying that teachers haven't received their textbooks,
Yes.
what have they been teaching our students these past 5 weeks, or what have they been providing them with?
Okay, so the orders were placed in July, and they were processed. Once the publisher got them, once Benchmark got them, they're actually coming from New York. So when they got our order, as well as other orders in the state of California, they, I guess, were not anticipating the amount, and so we did get the first shipment because they were coming in shipments because they were back ordered. But when I placed the order with them, the criteria was that all teacher's guide, teacher resources, and student materials come first. Any additional libraries and things that they didn't need directly those first few weeks of instruction. And so the goal was, when we had our training on August 18th, that the teachers would have their materials. And for the most part, everybody had their teacher's guides. And again, some of them may not have come in like by the 18th or the 17th, but by the first week, at least the first shipment came in. The only thing that was lacking were some of the libraries, to my understanding, as principals and their staff were checking in all the materials, packing slip, verification. On top of that, we had, within the first 2 weeks of school, we had to open several new classrooms. So that was an additional order that we placed at the end of August. So that shipment arrived, yes, between yesterday and today.
May I add, I know that at least at our school we had 2 teachers, and I'm talking about library level without any student textbooks.
Yes.
So
Yes. That is correct.
Ms. Colunga,
Yes.
when are our kids going to receive their books?
by today,
Tomorrow.
It was the third grade classrooms that were missing, and the new classrooms. But what the teachers were doing were sharing materials in the meantime, those new classes. But most of the classrooms had their student editions, which everything's consumable now. And so they were close read or shared reading texts and the teacher's guides.
So they should get it by
So,
tomorrow.
yes, everybody should have everything by tomorrow at the latest. But the majority of classrooms did have their instructional materials.
Okay.
And they should have them by tomorrow.
Because next month we sign a declaration that our kids will have books, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Which is, yes,
If
and
it's
there is an
tomorrow,
urgency that tomorrow everything should be delivered.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any comments from CSEA?
Good evening, board and public. I'm just here. It's been 2 years ago when I came into presidency. I requested more custodians, more grounds. We do have a lot of more teachers, but we sure haven't hired any custodians. The custodians, they have night school. They clean one section of the school, and then the following day they clean another one, but they don't clean these classrooms on a daily basis. Don't forget the classified. They also need to be helped out. They need more custodians at each school site, so every morning when a student comes in, the classroom is thoroughly clean. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to J3, the pool committee. Is there anything to report? Insurance committee? Nothing to report. ROP committee?
Nothing.
Nothing to report. Safety committee? Okay. LCAP committee? Very well. Moving on to J4, board reports. These are informational reports by board members. No action is taken. Starting from my left, Trustee Aguilar.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, this time I don't have comments, but I do have questions. Obviously, don't expect them to be answered right this second, but these are not questions that I haven't asked before. When I came on board in January, one of the questions that I asked about was in regards to the Naviance training. We purchased a program that was specifically for our counselors at the high school. I don't know whether we've managed to get the training get our counselors into the training, because we paid for the program and it wasn't used last year, so I'm hoping that there has been training for that. The other question is, I had asked about, and I don't know whether it has happened or not, whether we are going to provide water instruction training for our Calexico High School physical education teachers, in terms of maybe having water polo taught, or maybe something that's related to physical education class content. Another question that I have is, what are we doing as a district in terms of how will we maximize the pool use? Are we reaching out to perhaps the Heffernan board and working together with them in terms of maybe having a collaborative effort to have a summer recreation program that they could run? I don't know. All I do know is that we're spending money on maintaining a pool, and we're not getting a use out of it. We did ask for a fee schedule for the pool that I don't think has come our way. I do want to reiterate my ongoing request that we need to provide support for new teachers. We have a good number of new teachers in our classrooms, and I've had conversations with some of them, and there is a need to have some support there, and I don't think that's quite happening. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Trustee Rell.
First and foremost, good evening to everybody. Thank you for attending the meeting. I actually just have two things to say or to ask, so we could follow up just after listening to one of the speakers. I want to know what the status is with the AR. I have heard some teachers saying that students aren't available to use that program, and also access to the online services. Why is it this taking 5 weeks for our teachers and our students to be able to access our online services? So I don't know if the district could follow up with us and get back to the board. And no, because I know if we're still doing the AR for our students, and it's been 5 weeks already and they haven't actually started doing it, then where are they going to be at the point where they get evaluated? So if we could just find out. Thank you.
Trustee Calderon Jr.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a short comment. I'd like to take this time to congratulate Coach Tyrese and his team for his victories. He plays tomorrow, and hopefully he'll have another victory tomorrow. And hopefully everybody can join us and go out and cheer for our Bulldogs. Again, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you. Good evening. I would just like to start by thanking Ms. Torres for coming before us to share her concerns as to the needs that the teachers have to educate our students. So I just asked the district to please look into that and address that so that the teachers can get what they need, as well as CSEA, who, of course, are a very important part of the process as well. Just piggybacking on Trustee Aguilar's comment as to the pool, it's very important that we do work with the Heffernan Board, with the city, given that the additional monies that we got from the state were for a community pool, a public pool. So we need to make every effort to open it to the public. If the city's not in a position, it behooves us to look for a way, given that it's for the community. And even though this is the school district and they are the city, I believe that it's all the same community and we want the best for our citizens. So in regards to the fee schedule, I know that we're supposed to have a town hall meeting in October so that the community can give input as to what they feel that fee schedule should look like. So with that, thank you. And I'll move on to K. Action items. I'm sorry.
Mr. President, before
Go ahead, Trustee Calero.
How are we touching with our citizens regarding town hall, regarding the fees for our parks and pools and everything else? Are we making...
We send out a dialer and we send a mailer out to every school, and they send it out with every student.
Okay. And like the presidents of the leagues and everything else, we're calling them too? Because we got a lot of leagues out there, like softball and so forth, that are interested in using our fields and so forth.
Well, I can probably get a list of all the people who rent our facilities and we can write them.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like for us to go beyond just a dialer and mailer. Maybe perhaps we can reach out to the media and give an interview in regards to that. I mean, I think we need to go above just, the normal.
Normal channels.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Thank
The more
you.
participation, the better. Okay. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay. Moving on to K, action items, consideration and action or approval of the following items. K1, renewal of agreement between CUSD and ASPS Security for security patrol services for fiscal year 2016 and 2017.
And so at our previous board meeting, this item was there. Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a request for oral
Yes.
communication. Ms. Rendona, please.
No, it's okay.
Good evening. I left a proposal, a worksheet that I figured out. Campus security, an 8-hour position, and this one you would only pay benefits. Then I have security, campus security 2 will work on Monday and Tuesday, and they will work 8 hours a day, so you would hire them for 16 hours a week. Then we have security 3, 4, up to 12 securities that work 2 days out of the week. If one misses, the 8-hour would be the leader. He would be in charge of all these securities. In case one is absent, then you go to the next one in line that can cover for an absentee, if any. And these you would you only pay the taxes. You're not giving them any benefits, like the 8 hours. So you would hire 12 security, 16 hours a week. Okay. And I also see here that there's the school district house security service, the proposal. Right here, you're talking about full-time employees, 3. Mine is only asking for 1. Also indicates that you need to purchase carts and vehicles. We have vehicles at the district warehouse that can be used. We don't need to purchase new ones. We have security. The security has those golf carts. They can be, and each school site has them. Those could be used also. Also indicates need to call supervisor on duty. That supervisor on duty will be the person that's hired 8 hours. 8 hours, and he would be stationed at the high school. Could take the high school, the swimming pool, and De Anza, and the rest 2 securities per night. And you go and get on the track, go to each school site, and only takes them 10 minutes to go through the golf court, to the golf carts and check, go to another school, but do this not only twice, visit the school, more than twice as the security is doing right now. Right now, Aspen goes twice to check at the school site. Our security will constantly be going. You put in some chips and you monitor their status. It's not going to take them 15, 20 minutes in the golf court to check a school. You get back on the pickup, you go to another school, and you keep rotating all night. So this is a proposal. I would like for you guys to look at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's that proposal?
Okay.
This one?
So at the previous board meeting, the board asked that Ms. Randall provide some additional information and do some research on different options, and so this is what she's got for you this evening.
So good evening, trustees. Before you, there is a presentation regarding in-house campus security versus outsourcing to a security company. What I've done in this proposal is I've kind of rewatched the video to kind of get some of the conversation. It was kind of convoluted. It wasn't as clear. So what I did was I provided, from what I could gather from the conversation, 3 different scenarios, and I'm going to go through those in just a moment. But I'm going to talk about what ASPS, what their proposal is offering. They're providing the district with 30 warning signs around the district, the guard tour system, where it has sensors on each of the school sites, 2-way radio and repeater system, custom security uniform and all safety equipment, 2 marked patrol vehicles and 1 golf cart, gas included, monitoring security equipment, 15 security control panels, which are currently installed, with 1,000 sensors distributed throughout the district at all of the school sites, a total of 3 officers, 1 at the high school and that station at the high school, and 2 that patrol the different campuses. Again, the 1,000 motion sensors that will be placed on classrooms and key locations around the school halls. Total hours per week, which is 96, and that's inclusive of the weekends, for a flat rate of $26,000 a month, including the equipment and the security systems. And they've also indicated the fee for the extra security hours and for the holidays, and that would be a current monthly savings of $14,000 per month with an annual savings of $168,000. Before you move on, I know there was a question last week by a trustee regarding the types of the check-in systems, as far as how do we know that they're monitoring the campus. So currently what's on campus is they have the little, like a key card that will go up to, I don't know, like to this wall, and you can go, I checked this area, so I will put my little key card there, and it says at 9:15 I was here at this post here. And then I can go across to the other side of the campus where the other one is located, and I can put my key card there, and then at the end of the day or the end of the week, what happens is ASBS, they run the report and they submit that to our to Chris De La Rosa, who is our supervisor for M&O, and it's reviewed to make sure that the posts, and you can see the time, that to make sure that our sites are being properly monitored by the security service company. So I'm going to go into scenario 1. And what one of the scenarios, and again, this is just what I could gather from the conversation, is that the district would hire 3 full-time employees. And this, again, these costs are associated with Monday through Friday only, an 8-hour shift. The district would have to purchase the sensors district-wide, because the sensors and things that we have here, they don't belong to the district. They belong to the security company. And the quote that we kind of quoted around, just for the sensor themselves, are about $60 per sensor. So if we're looking at 1,000 district-wide, it would be approximately $60,000, but that does not include the installation or the panels for the monitoring that. So that's just something, information there. Purchase carts and/or vehicles for patrol. The carts are about $8,000 each, and for a security vehicle up to about $20,000 per security vehicle. We do have vehicles on campus, yes we do. However, those vehicles are checked out for sports, they are checked out for trainings, and for folks that need them. In addition to for the different things that happen for, our teachers, our classified, our management, we use those vehicles. So if it's gone, if it's available, then and we have to provide staff with transportation to get from site to site if they're going to be patrolling the site. So that's something that's kind of maybe not be as reliable as we would like it to be. And secondly, it's been my experience since I've worked here, nobody ever takes credit for breaking the cart, not charging the cart, and I didn't have the key. The wheel is flat. Nobody kind of takes credit for that. Everybody gets blamed for the last person that touched the cart or somebody else that was involved or used the cart during the day. So it would be my recommendation that it would be, if it's for security, then it's for security, and those would be the only folks that operate and use those carts and vehicles. So we do have vehicles here, however they may not be available, and for responsibility's sake, if it's for security, then it should be solely for security. To hire 3 full-time employees, and this covers Monday through Friday only, that's just the salary and benefits piece, not inclusive of all of the other expenses. It's about that's really small, $233,282, and that's inclusive of salaries and benefits for 3 full-time employees. Scenario.
Sorry, I can't see how much is it?
I'm sorry, I can barely see. I'm sorry, I can hardly see it too. About $233,000. Yeah. I can't see it with or without my glasses on, so yeah. It's little.
That would be less than the security company that we have now, correct?
It would, just for the salaries and benefits, and there's some other things that I want you to consider, but just for the salary only,
but so far
yes.
We're under.
So far, just for the salary only, yes, not inclusive of the vehicles and the other things that I'm going to bring to mention to consider. Scenario 2. There was some conversation at our last board meeting regarding then just have them as part-time employees. So at 3.5 hours, we'd need minimally 9 part-time employees to cover, and that's only for the equivalent of 3 posts, or like the equivalent of 3 full-time people. So you would have 9 part-timers, which would kind of be the same. Again, you would still need the sensors, you would still need the carts and the vehicles, and at this time you only have folks 3.5 hours. So you would have a shift, and there was some conversation at the last meeting regarding the shift. So when I talk about the shift, there was a little bit of concern or conversation regarding them starting at 7 o'clock, and that the custodian could be the security guard. Well, I looked at the custodian's job description, and that's not in their job description to do that. So that could create some other implications there, where their job is to clean the school, not to secure the school and to be the campus security of the school site. So that's just something to consider. So with that, 9 part-time employees at 3.5 hours each.
But you still are our employees, so if you see something going on, I'm sure he or she would call someone to let him know.
I'm sure and that's if he saw it, because if he's in the back in wherever, then there's kind of no knowledge of what's going on in the front of the campus. Okay, so with that, okay, Norma, I can't see this one either. Okay, so that one's $144,192.92, and that's for at least 9 part-time employees. Scenario 3 was if we offered extra hours to our current employees. So again, there goes the purchasing of the equipment, vehicles, carts, and so on and so forth. The hourly rate is increased a little bit because these are our current employees, which means they don't start off at our basic rate, because you can have a part-timer who's been here over a period of time to where they don't start off making I think it's $12.88 or $12.88 $12.89 per hour. So this is on average about $16 an hour is to our current employees, and offering them the extra hours, which now what happens, it puts them not for health insurance benefits, but now they become PERSable, which means now the district is responsible for paying PERS on those employees. So the cost for that, for 9, or to cover that's for the hours for a Monday through Friday, and also for Saturday and Sunday, it's $216,062, and that's the estimate, $216,062. Scenario 3.
400. What was the cost last year for?
$450,000. But as a reminder as to why, well, we had a security stationed at every single site. And that was at the request of the board because of the nature and the level. We had a break-in, I think, 3 in 1 week, and they were just nonstop.
So now we're going to cut it down.
Right. So the proposal is to cut it down.
And the total was how much?
It's $26,000 a month. It's about three.
Okay, so it's 300.
Yeah, about 300, a little over $300,000.
The classified don't pay PERS. The district does not pay PERS for those retirement.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because if they're a current employee, they already and have started prior to January 1st of 2013, then the district does pay PERS for them. And the majority, and if they've been here prior to that time, then yes, the district would pay PERS for them. And that's for
Since July 2013, the boys are paying
if they were hired and not classic PERS members, that is correct.
employees, then they would pay
And only if they're brand new employees that have not been members of PERS. If you've been a member of PERS anywhere else, then yes, the district would pay the PERS on there. Okay, so things to consider.
I have some questions, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You made a distinction of the fact that on the carts and vehicles, as it was mentioned earlier, we do have carts, and you did say that the carts are for specific. But to my knowledge, most of the carts are for security. There are some carts that are assigned for administration or for counselors and so forth. But the use of those carts happen during regular school hours. They wouldn't be used during the nighttime when they're in the security.
Correct. And my point in saying that was, so when there's something wrong with it, like in the morning, it hasn't been charged for the administration to serve their job function or what, then there's just the accusation of that, I left it, I did this, and I did that, and because I've seen it, it's happened a million times here.
And then I'm sure it happens right now with the carts as it is. If you're using the carts, for example, for the football games, if somebody doesn't.
However, it's not just the high school or the junior highs that would need these carts at this point. You're also going to need these carts at the elementary schools. None of our elementary schools have the carts.
Correct.
Because if we want them to be able to do the security more expeditiously, we would still need to purchase security carts.
What?
How is it that we would have to purchase the security carts if we have, in other words, right now, the security, are they using the carts?
Well, the security company provides their
Uses their own.
carts.
They use their own.
They use their own.
Yes.
So they have
Yes, they do.
They have carts at our school sites, all of our school sites. Well, because you're saying that it's going to be, we would need to purchase them for elementary schools. So if you're saying that the security company provides its cards, so they're providing cards for the elementaries, junior highs, and high schools?
I'm not sure. I know for sure that they provide a cart for the high school. That's what I do
that's
know.
why I'm saying. So why are we saying that we would need carts for elementary and junior high?
Mr. President, I'd like to recommend something.
Yes.
It appears that there's still a lot of unknown here. I'd like to table this
Okay.
and have
Let's-
Ms. Mai meet with CACA and hash it out and see talk about it, see what if we have the equipment and so forth, and give them the opportunity to prove us wrong. Because we're asking questions, we have equipment out there. I think that if we do an inventory, I'm sure we could find things. But again, I'd like to see them meet and then discuss it and see if it's even worth going there.
I'd like to, if I may, just finish and go to the next slide, just for things to also consider, because I've done pretty extensive research and per the board's request. So I'd like to finish and just things to consider. Our employees, as campus security, they cannot apprehend, cuff, or detain intruders while waiting for police assistance. This could create a dangerous environment for our staff while break-ins are in progress. We do need an on-call supervisor daily while staff is working. When I took a look at the absentee rate for the campus security in 2014-15, in this classification, there were 413.7 days of absences in this classification. For last year, 652.24 days of absences in this classification. In the current year, which we've determined we've been in class for 5 weeks, there has already been 28.92 days absent in this classification, which could mean that the potential that facilities will have no coverage.
How do you determine that?
Determine what?
Because you're just giving me total days of absences. You're not breaking it as you're not. Are you telling me that on an average an employee misses once a week? That number doesn't tell me anything in terms of how the rate of of employee absences.
Well, I put this number here to show that that this particular classification, there is a lot of absences, meaning that there has to be someone that's trying to secure coverage, and if we're looking for security overnight, I mean, this is just a large amount of absences. That these are. It's not vacation. It's absences.
Well, I mean, to answer the question, I mean, we do it for all classifications. I mean, we just approve our classified and certification list where for Saturday school, we have all these staff that are available to work. Do you understand? So we can get a list going, and I don't think that it could be a problem. That's why I want you to meet.
Well, I think it was a problem. That's why we have outside security services now.
Well, I asked that question, and it was like 20 years ago, and no one can answer the question. So, I'd like to table this and have them meet, see what.
And what specifically? What would you like me to meet with CSEA to?
First of all, talk about these numbers, talk about the equipment, and see what recommendations can come up. A lot of times we gotta look. Maybe our employees can provide us some ideas.
I've got another question. It was a bullet point. Made it a point that employees cannot apprehend, cuff, or detain intruders. I know that. Can the security guard do this?
Yes, they can.
So they have arrest.
That is, they can detain, cuff. They cannot arrest. They detain and cuff until the police arrives.
So I'll take another step. So what would stop us from hiring people who would fall under that type of classification?
I think that would create a new job classification, is what I would, and we'd probably have to hire police officers or something post-trained, which then would probably increase the cost, or would be the same cost as what we would pay the security company.
Then they have to get their guard card in order to do security,
Right.
renew it every 2 years, and then the district has to pay for that expense and so forth. And my only question, I know they want you to review this with CCA. However, I mean, if we were to hire these part-timers, who's going to come in the middle of the night for 3.5 hours? I mean, are you going to come in and take a shift for 3.5 hours and then the next
And if I
person-
don't, and as far as, and if you don't show, then what?
Then the other person does overtime.
Right.
If you hire 12, part-time, 16 hours, you got 10 people that you can call.
And who's,
I mean-
well, at 2 o'clock in the morning,
And on the other jobs, not only here in the district, they can go for those two days, 8 hours each day.
Now you're saying they're going to work 8 hours?
Two people, to hire 12 security guards, and those 2 security guards work 2 days, 8 hours a day. If one misses, you got 10 security guards already lined up for the next week, for the following days. The lead will call the next person, and you always have covered someone's absent.
Okay, so what are the wishes of the board at this point? Trustee Calderon Jr. asked if we could table this so that Ms. Randall could, what was the direction that you were giving, Trustee Calderon? As far as CSEA and Ms. Randall?
That we table it, that they meet and see if it's worth even going there.
Okay.
They know the numbers, they know the coverage, they know what expense. I mean, I have a paper here that I don't know who it came from, but there's $86,000 that we can save. So there's some, I mean, there has to give them the opportunity to say
So
what's
it's-
their opinion or.
Okay.
This is the one I did with 12 security guards, 2 days, 8 hours, and a full-time 8 hours of pay benefit and a free charge of office.
Okay.
It's month to month, correct? Our security guards?
yeah, it's $40,000 a month we're paying now.
Okay, so what are the, Trustee Calderon, is that a motion to table?
Yes.
There's a motion to table for the next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Aguilar. All is in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Okay. Thank you, Ms. Randall. Yes. Moving on to K2, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and UCSD Early Outreach Program for Academic Services for CHS, ECJHS, and William Moreno Junior High School.
And the Early Outreach Program provides services to three of our secondary schools, which are Calexico High School, Enrique Camarena, and Willie Moreno. This service is free of cost to the district. All the costs and the employment of the tutors, the academic tutors and mentors, is incurred by UCSD. The commitment of Calexico Unified is that we provide the space available for the tutoring and or mentoring. Some of the tutoring is also available online for our students who would like to access it via online. Tutors, like I said, the tutors and mentors are hired through UCSD, and they have to be TB and live scanned screening in order to be employed, and they do not get referred to us until they have passed that screening. The recommendation of the superintendent is that this agreement be approved.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Calderon Jr., second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to K3, service agreement between Calexico Unified School District and George Kouros for technology professional development services.
Yes, this has been brought forth by our Department of Educational Services and the Technology Department. We will be having a technology conference this December, and part of it's going to be the first one of its kind that we've had in our district, so of that caliber, and it was recommended that we bring a keynote speaker, George Kouros, who's a lead in technology for education, and therefore it is the recommendation of Educational Services and the superintendent that this agreement be approved. This would be under Title I funding.
Board, is there any discussion?
I do have a question. Who is he going to train?
Teachers from throughout our district.
In technology?
He's the keynote speaker. We will have different strands on a Saturday, I believe, and but he will be the keynote speaker for the event.
Okay.
Okay.
Similar to like the Apple. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, like, they come in and they have somebody who comes and does the speaking. When we go, like, for example, you go to CSBA and they have the kickoff session, whether it's a kickoff or in the evening, they have somebody who comes in and speaks to create a way of linking together the learning and the excitement and motivation for the program itself.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Trustee Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to K4, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Jim Shin for professional consultation for elementary and secondary counselor trainings.
Mr. Shin, former counselor for Calexico Unified, is a glutton for punishment. He still wants to work. No, he's always had a passion for learning and for providing assistance to our youth. And he now has a consultation company that he himself has created and works with. He works with our schools, he works with our counselors, and for this year we would like to secure his training. He'll be working with all of our counselors district-wide for the October 10th professional development, as well as providing ongoing training on how to do peer and small group consultations and counseling with the new elementary counselor. So it's for October 10th and also ongoing for our new counseling staff throughout the year.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any discussion, Board?
Just that I'm glad to see this. I've always been an advocate that we should tap into people who have a ton of experience and that have retired from our district, and Mr. Shin is a perfect example of that. So I hope that we, just like how we were providing this type of in-service training for elementary and secondary counselors, I'd like to see something like that in terms for our teachers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to motion to approve.
Motion by Trustee Aguilar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to K5, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Franklin Covey for training and services related to the 7 habits of highly effective teens and training for students.
So Franklin Covey is a renowned leader in terms of motivating adults and students to be better and to improve their own personal habits so that they can gain successes in life. And so Calexico High School is asking to be able to train a group of teachers that have asked to be a part of this, and so that they can present this handbook and training for the students and for our at-risk kids, those kids who are either getting detention, who have a high absentee rate, who are perhaps academically behind in credits, because the goal is to motivate them into improving their school attendance, their graduation rates, their academics overall. And so the recommendation of the superintendent is that we approve this request from Calexico High School.
Is this just this year, training for this year?
This would be the training for this year. This is the first time that they would be actually implementing this, and they'd like to see how well this works out before they continue.
I have a couple of questions. How many students is this impacting?
I will have Ms. Williams come in, but I think that they want to implement it like within their in-school suspension rooms, their Saturday schools, etc.
Hopefully it impacts our audience is everybody who needs that extra support. Once a teacher is trained, they're officially certified, and that certification carries on for next year and next year and next year. So it's a one-time training. It was a lot more cost efficient to bring the presenter to us than send all of our interested teachers. The other thing is that they shared with us is once the teacher is certified, the kit comes with their certification, and that kit can be used with a different cohort, students coming in and out of different sessions. So going back to your question, because we have identified some students that will benefit of the different sessions, or all the sessions, 8 sessions I think, or 8 that we hope to implement. And so we will reach out to parents and make sure that they're there the 8 or 10 sessions. But other teachers will focus on students that can benefit or can only or want to make the commitment for 1 or 2 sessions. So we hope that if you do the math, 10 teachers, potentially we even think and dream that we'll have 10 teachers in session at the same time, and they can all hold a class of 34 each. So it depends on our audience and students' just needs and commitment.
So there's materials for the teachers and there's trainings for the teachers. Are we investing anything in providing materials for students or parents?
Yes, the materials for students are included. The teacher kit is for them to teacher resources that they can use in the future, like I said, 2 to 3 years from now. The teacher materials, and they come with the student materials, they come with workbooks, and there is a set, and there will be enough for everyone. The company also said that we can make copies of the units, and there wouldn't be any copyright issues. So we're just buying where the student materials are a little bit more limited, but because we have the flexibility of making copies and using those resources as we wish.
Yeah, I'd like to see that we share this important information with the parents as well.
Yes,
that's really successful.
It will be Friday after school, so we're going to have to inform our parents that students are in sessions and trainings, and again for different groups of students, audiences, and needs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve K5 by Trustee Aguilar, second by Trustee Calderon Jr. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to Case 6, Memorandum of Understanding between the SPARK programs and Calexico Unified School District for Physical Education Professional Development Training.
And as has been mentioned several times tonight, we do have a district-wide professional development day coming up October 10th. And so the Sparks program is to provide content-specific training for our physical education teachers district-wide to help them be able to help students with their physical activity and yet support the learning with English language arts and mathematics. So they could be a cross-departmental type of training for physical education teachers. The recommendation of its services, and the superintendent recommends that it be approved.
Are there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Trustee Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to Case 7, Memorandum of Understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Big Smiles, California for free dental services.
And so this has been brought forth by Ed Services and by the Family Resource Center that this dentist is willing to provide free dental services to Calexico Unified School District students for free, and our commitment is to provide the space and at least 25 students per site for these services to be done. Any x-rays, etc., results are sent to the parents and or the dentist of their choosing afterward in case they need additional dental services, but the basic dental service would be provided for free. And so recommendation is that the item be approved.
Motion.
There's a motion by Trustee Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed unanimous. Moving on to K8, approval for photography services and contracts for year 2016 and 2017 and 2017 and 18 school years. 3 groupings of schools with separate contracts.
And so we have 3 contracts. We have a contract for with Duke Photography for Calexico High School, Life Touch Nation School Studio with Blanche Charles, Maines, Willie Moreno, Aurora, Enrique Camarena, and Pimentel Studio, Jefferson, Rockwood, Kennedy Gardens, Cesar Chavez, and Dual. And the recommendation is that the board approve these contracts. There's no fiscal impact to our schools, as these are, the funding is through parent purchase.
Are there any questions?
No. Motion.
Motion by Trustee Calderon Jr., second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on to K9, Certificated Employment Report.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Trustee Aguilar. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Calderon Jr. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to K10, Classified Employment Report. And there was an addition of Shelly Garza for extra hours for 10/1 of 2016 to 10/31 of 2016. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Trustee Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Announcements of actions taken in closed session. They've already been announced. Student Discipline, Education Code 48918. Action upon recommendation of student discipline. Oh, okay.
And that is what I reported out when we came out.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Trustee Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Real. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Good night.